Brendan Gulick and Anthony Moeglin with you, part of BrownsDigest, our coverage of the Cleveland Browns on a day that was not good. Not good. All the way around. 29-12, scoregami, right? So you get an NFL score that's never happened. Maybe that was the oddest thing to come out of the game. Pretty tough day for the Browns. And it's hard to figure out maybe where it was worst. So let's just start with the injury component to this, Anthony. I don't know how much a team is supposed to be able to have to handle during the course of a season, but this is getting borderline ridiculous how many of the injuries have just ravaged a Browns team that has so much promise. And again, like, to their credit, for being right in the thick of a playoff race while dealing with all of these injuries. But I mean, it blows my mind, and I'll pull this up here so I can tell you exactly, just off the very top, guys that are hurt that would make you, really raise your eyebrows, because this is ridiculous. Nick Chubb, Deshaun Watson, Denzel Ward, Amari Cooper, Jack Conklin, Anthony Walker, Jedrick Wills, Marquise Goodwin, Rodney McLeod, today DTR, Jacob Phillips, Jakeem Grant. These are all guys that over the course of the season are either currently injured or who have missed time. And now Cleveland is looking at another quarterback problem if DTR can't pass concussion protocol by the time they play the Rams next weekend, because what we saw from PJ Walker at the end of the day today was not good enough. Yeah. And so it becomes a race to get Joe Flacco ready.
Have you ever seen anything like this at any level? I mean,
no, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
The list you just said, I mean, everyone knows it by now, but that's your starting running back, your starting quarterback, your starting tackles. So that's two there. Your starting linebacker, your starting safety or corner. Now you're going to have Cooper. Cooper's injury wasn't a pillow fight either. I mean, he took a helmet right to the ribs. I mean, you never know what that's going to be, but it's like, holy cow, man, this team is 7-4. Your record's good. Today was a stinker from start to finish. It felt weird. It wasn't right from the start, but then you just go and lose DTR and Amari Cooper, and you're like, geez, Pete, man, how much more can this group take? It's unfortunate.
I actually don't put Cooper's injury on a defender.
No.
That's a bad call, man. He left him out there and he got killed. I actually kind of liked what I saw from DTR today.
Yeah.
I love that kid's moxie, to borrow the word from Kevin Stefanski. He is competitive as hell. He's tough. He's pretty athletic. He's aggressive. He throws a good ball. It's a little erratic, right? He is far from being a polished NFL quarterback, but there's something there. And I hope he can recover quickly, because I think he could be a good answer for the Browns in the meantime. He's not going to be the team's starting quarterback when Deshaun Watson gets back at full strength. I mean, there's no way around that. But you need a backup quarterback that can play on a moment's notice, because if you haven't figured it out yet, the Browns are looking at potentially playing a fourth quarterback in the first 12 games of the year, and that's absurd. So you got to have somebody that can do it, and DTR looks pretty good.
Every single time he drops back to pass, or even is in the huddle, or even taking a snap, like, I just think of Kevin Stefanski saying how confident the kid is. He doesn't lack for confidence. Yeah. And you can see that just the way he guides this team, just the way he leads this group, and just the belief he has in himself is amazing. And it's kudos to him, because not many people are born with that. So it's truly amazing. But it, just like you said, he's never going to be, in my opinion, obviously he's played in 3 games, so this is painting with a broad brushstroke, but he's never going to be like, an everyday guy. But we've seen, if Deshaun Watson's going to be the long-term quarterback here in Cleveland, I mean, he is fragile, and the way he plays football, there are going to be times when he does get banged up, and you're going to need a guy to come back in. And, if Dorian Thompson-Robinson continues to get better, obviously his concussion is going to be a step back, but continues to get better and improve, why can't it be that kid? I love watching him play, and you saw growth today. I mean, had he not gotten hurt, who knows what the final is, but you love what you saw out of the young kid today.
I don't even judge him by his statistics, because especially at this point in his career, they're irrelevant to me. he was playing winning football.
Mm-hmm.
Final numbers, just because we'll share them with you. We usually do 14 for 29, threw for 134 yards and his first NFL touchdown. He did not throw an interception, but the Browns fumbled 5 times, including 3 that they lost. And ultimately, I think they put the defense in some pretty tough spots. And so that's a big reason why they lost this game, because, you were in the middle of the third quarter and it didn't look so bad, right? I mean, it wasn't even middle of the third quarter. It was a little quarter. It was when Denver had to settle for a field goal to go up 17-12. You felt like, hey, you are 1 score away from being right back in this thing. And obviously the drop 2-point conversion was a real bummer, but like that whole drive, I felt like, hey, DTR just grew up before our eyes.
And what's most impressive to me is that you get down 14-0 and you have a rookie quarterback and it's not going well. Nothing's going the right way. Denver's running it all down your defense's throat. You can't do anything on offense. Imagine being that rookie quarterback and, potentially just packing up shop and be like, all right, we're on to LA. I'm going home. I'm going to see a bunch of my friends next week. But no, that was my favorite part about it. Throw the stats out the window and all that. I mean, the kid stuck in there, man. It would have been so easy to just give up and quit, but leads the team down to cut it to 14-3. Then the defense gets a stop. And you're like, okay, if we can go down and score, you're in this thing. They get it down to 1st and goal and just a couple. I mean, that ball to David Bell just bouncing off the defensive tackle's shoulder pad. It's like, oh my gosh, that would have been a touchdown. You cut it to 14-10. Never know how those things change it, but the gutsiness that DTR was showing and the unwillingness to quit, man. He's stuck in there. That's the impressive part. That's the stuff that you take away because he's got it. Whatever it is, he's got it in him to kind of be that competitive guy.
Yeah, and even in the second quarter, I mean, ultimately, you don't want to settle for field goals. Mm-hmm. But, good drives kind of getting put together. 13 plays, 57 yards, ends in a field goal about 6 minutes left in the second quarter. Then the Browns kick a field goal with 22 seconds left before halftime on an 11-play, 67-yard drive that took 2:42. I think Dorian is pretty good for being a rookie. And I mean, look, he's not CJ Stroud. I would actually, now that I've seen enough from him, there's a lot of people that are not going to agree with this, and I don't care. I would rather play him than Flacco.
Yeah,
I would. Joe Flacco has proven everything that you could possibly prove about what it takes to be a legitimate NFL quarterback. That's not a knock on Joe. I would think at 38 years old, he certainly has, some things he can lean on, but it's hard to replicate the the lack of damage done to a body that's 16 or 17 years younger than yours, and a willingness to just go out and play with reckless abandon.
It almost feels like when Dorian drops back and when he's out there, he's just like so naive to everything, like not in a bad way, but just doesn't know what he doesn't know. And like, and there's a freedom, to that, right? Where it's like, hey, I'm just going to go back there and throw it and drop back and try to make a play and be athletic and just kind of figure it out. What I would say to that, and, there's arguments that be had in both directions, right? Keep developing Dorian, keep letting him figure out what he is and keep letting him grow. But then this team, man, it's like, how long can you wait? Like with Flacco, what you're going to get. Maybe, I guess, I don't know. He hadn't played in a year. But like this team was at least ready to win before all these injuries. Like how much longer can you go? And obviously Dorian's concussion is going to kind of hinder that. But, it's a debate that's going to be had this week and for the weeks to come. But all in all, you love what you see out of 17, man. The kid's grind. He's gritty. He grinds. He's gutsy. And you just appreciate those factors as he continues to polish out his game.
I think the other guy that really jumped out to me today, probably, this probably isn't going super deep. It's not like anybody else didn't notice this. Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah is playing some incredible football.
Yeah.
And, his, I almost want to say emergence, because I don't know that I really saw this from him before the last month or so. I suddenly feel like maybe the Browns have a pretty darn good linebacker room right now, because they've always been kind of like that one really mean, nasty, tough linebacker away from being a scary room.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like JOK might be filling the void there.
He's special, and just his rare combination of athleticism and toughness is awesome to watch. And remember when we went and drafted him, right? Got him in the second round. I thought he could have been a first round guy. You take Greg Newsome in the first round, and then you get him early in the second, and he was drafted to be the Lamar Jackson stopper. Like, that's what he was supposed to come in and do. And you're starting to see why. He can run with everybody. He could be the fastest guy in the field, and he gets from point A to point B like that in the blink of an eye. And he comes with bad intentions, man. You don't want to cross him, because he'll run right through you. He's so fun to watch. And really, with Anthony Walker being out, the pairing of JOK and Sione Taki's really interesting, because Taki's more of that like thick bruiser kind of a guy, and they kind of pair really well together. They both can get to the ball, and they're doing a good job. I love that linebacker room, and JOK today was out of this world special.
Yeah, he was really, really good. Double-digit tackles, finished the day with 12 total, 7 solo tackles. Obviously had 1 sack, a hurry, 2 tackles for a loss, and a forced fumble.
How about that play he made? It was 3rd and 1, right? I forget the situation. And Jerry Jeudy just caught that screen pad, or that little now screen, got like 8.5 yards, didn't get the first down. And it was right after halftime, right? And he needed a stop. And boom, they try to do that pitch to the right, and there's 6 right there. JOK making a play.
All over it. Yeah, he was great for sure. All right, the other big topic that I think we should address post game here. I want your opinion. There are a lot of people that are not seeing eye to eye with Kevin Stefanski's decision to run the ball as few times today as he did. The Browns finished the day with 107 yards on the ground. They ran it 24 times. And obviously they were a little bit more willing to air it out a bit, with DTR throwing 29 times. PJ Walker threw it 13 times. So 42 passing attempts, substantially more than the run game. I don't know that I agree with everybody that's hounding Kevin. I actually really like the creativity in some of the formations today. I didn't have a problem with it. And for everybody, it's like, Denver's got the worst rush defense in the NFL. Run the ball. It's not quite that straightforward. And by the way, they gave up 350 of those rushing yards in one game against Miami. So take out one outlier, and maybe we're not talking about a team that's been torched on the ground. They gave up 70 points in one game. Mm-hmm. It's, look at a better sample size of the data.
And I would also add the issue to that too is we sit at home and listen to the broadcast, and all Sanchez kept saying was run the ball, run the ball, run the ball. Well, guess what? You can't just get into an I formation and run it right down your throat, right? How you can open stuff up in the run game is having a successful pass game. And guess what? What is Denver thinking? Hey, the Cleveland has a rookie quarterback, a 5th rounder who's played 2 starts. They're going to try to stuff it down our throat. And Stefanski said it after the game. He's like, hey, a lot of it's formational based, and a lot of it is personnel based. When they sub in a certain amount of guys, we know we have an advantage in the pass game. Well, you're not just going to roll DTR out there and run it on first down and run it on second down and give him 3rd and 8 or 3rd and 7. So with that said, I think that they were getting to it, right? You're down 14-12 in the third quarter. You had a great mix. Like, if Dorian Thompson-Robinson finished the day 29 pass attempts, I think that's a little high. And if you were to ask Kevin yesterday, hey, I'd like him to be somewhere between 22 to 27-ish. That's kind of where the sweet spot would have been. But I thought they were doing a nice job balancing with Jerome Ford and Kareem Hunt. Yes, I think they should have ran it more. I don't think it should have been 30 rushing attempt or 3 rushes to 1 pass, or even 2 to 1. Thought it was a really good mix and a healthy mix, and it was working. Let's tell the truth. It
Well,
was working.
and so, like, if you're Denver and you self-scout, you're like, look, we haven't been very good against the run this year. And Cleveland's got a banged-up offensive line with a rookie quarterback making his first NFL start on the road. And by the way, they've been one of the best rushing teams in the NFL this year. What do you think they're going to do? We think they're going to run the ball. So they stack the box. They put themselves in positions to stop the run. Well, it's a numbers game, man. Like you're only good at one thing if you have elite level talent, or you got more hats than blockers, right?
Exactly.
So if you got more guys there to stop the run, I don't have an issue with them throwing the ball. And I thought DTR made a bunch of good throws today. It's not Dorian's fault that the Browns had 5 more drops and a few others that I thought should have been caught.
Yeah, and guess what, too? Like when he left the game, right, the situation 17-12, yes, they were backed up. They would have ended up punting away had he not gotten hurt. But you're still in it, right? The final score is 29-12, and, the Denver goes on a 12-0 run to kind of end it. But like it was working. The game plan was working. I'm getting texts from, all sorts of people like fire Kevin, fire this, fire that. I'm like, guys, what are you watching? Like this game plan was working. It was happening, and you lose your quarterback, then you lose your receiver, and then everything just fell apart.
Well, sure. And then when you're chasing the game late, you can't really run power, right? So the discrepancy on the play calling sheet is going to get a little wider there. Yeah. So I'm not going to sit here and say that's the finest game Kevin's ever called.
No.
It wasn't Seattle. It wasn't Indianapolis, and I know they ultimately lost in Seattle anyways. It wasn't the Colts. It wasn't what we saw him do against Baltimore or Pittsburgh or Arizona or San Francisco. But I thought it was a good game plan, and I thought the Browns did what they largely could control. Maybe a little like 2 in his bag of tricks on the ball that was fumbled on like the reverse. But even at that, I didn't look at that and be like, that was stupid. Why did they do that?
Right.
You gotta find creative ways to get a defense's eyes moving in different directions. And I didn't have a problem with that play. Like, and handle the football. Don't fumble. It's not hard.
And Brendan, mind you, that was PJ Walker's first snap in 3 weeks, coming off the bench cold. Like, what are you going to do? At that point, what are you going to do? He's going to sit there and be like, all right, I got backup left tackle and right tackle, no running back, no receiver, and I got my backup quarterback. I have to make something happen. I'm going to give it a shot. Yeah. If it would have worked, great. The real bummer of the situation is on first down before DTR gets hurt, he hits Njoku in the hands, and he would have slipped out and had a massive gain on first down, potentially one that blows the doors off. Instead, he kind of bobbles it around, drops it. Then on second down, you get nothing. Third down, he gets hurt, and then the sky is falling. It's just a frustrating day again from your pass catchers.
I also read something. I don't know if I'm buying into this, but somebody had circulated something on Twitter that said, hey, Sean Payton was the head coach at Bounty Gate, and there were a bunch of fairly high hits on some of the Browns today. Should we connect any of the dots? Nah, I don't really think so. Physical game, tough game. I didn't think anybody was out there head hunting. Ultimately the Browns in a lot of ways were their own undoing. You can't fumble 5 times. 2 for 13 on third downs is atrocious. Only 270 yards of total offense. Obviously that's not quite where you want to be. And defensively, I mean, I know the scoreboard says 29 points and all, but I just felt like there were some moments where the defense, the Browns offense put the defense in some pretty tough spots. And look, I mean, this better than anybody, right? You play the game at a pretty good level. Playing good defense is about 3 things. You got to have good leverage. You've got to play good. You have to tackle well, and you limit explosive plays. Yep. Those are the 3 basics of how do you defend well. And I thought the Browns lost leverage today. I thought they were reasonable, but not great in tackling, and they gave up some chunk plays that they shouldn't have given up.
And I would add to that, I loved what the Broncos were doing on the ground. Like when you look at this Browns defense, you're like, okay, this defensive line is game wreckers and they're elite, and they rush the passer with reckless abandonment and total commitment to getting home. And they use that aggression against them. How many times did you see guys just flying up the field and them having little trap plays inside or getting the guard across and just not even huge hits, just like pushing them out the way, just using their aggression against them. I thought their run scheme was fantastic. And it, I thought it was really well done. They hats off to the Broncos. They had a great plan and they executed it very, very well, especially on the ground.
So, look, I don't love the questions to Kevin Stefanski postgame that are looking forward to next week already. I understand that some of those get asked, the body's not even cold, man. We're talking about the game ended a few minutes ago and questions about, will Joe Flacco be ready next week? Like, I don't know, let's give it a few days and figure it out. The obvious answer there is he's got to get ready, because anybody that used their eyes to watch the end of the game there, and I mean this respectfully to PJ Walker, I know he's been serviceable when the Browns played him this year. It's not good enough.
Mm-hmm.
So they've got to get Flacco ready if DTR can't play. And yes, he's got to figure out a way to maybe use a quarterback that is a little different, right? This is not a system that's built around Joe Flacco's strengths. But I don't know. I get frustrated when we think too far forward, even though that's what everybody wants to talk about, right? Mm-hmm. It's almost like the soapbox of all of the, midweek stuff, the non-game related stuff becomes more story worthy than the game itself. The Browns are going to be fine.
That's it right there, Brennan. We have this, and I don't know if it's with other fan bases or if it's just ours, but there's this weird thing that happens when the Browns win. It is, we're going to the Super Bowl. We're the best team that's ever created, ever, all time. Put us up against the 85 Bears. We're going to score 40. When they lose, it's like they would lose to the neighborhood flag team. It's like there's no in between. And the truth is, they got beat today. They looked bad from the start, and they looked bad to the end. They battled in there. You were like, okay, we got a chance. You got some more injuries, but the real truth of the matter is you went on this trip needing to split. Okay, you needed to split between Denver and LA. Yes, you would have loved both, but what you needed to do was split. So you still have the opportunity to go to LA and take care of business against the Rams. It's not going to be easy. They rolled the Cardinals today. But that's the goal, and that goal is still attainable. You got to gather the pieces, get the troops back together, and be like, all right, here's the situation. Now we got to go.
And I think they'll figure out a way to do it, and hopefully they can get as healthy as possible along the way. So Cleveland licking its wounds a bit after a tough day in Denver. We got plenty more coming for you this week. Obviously, the team is on the road all week long. You probably heard that 64 times during the broadcast today. It's like I don't know why it's some big story that the Browns aren't coming home.
I mean, what?
To Los Angeles? Like, sometimes that happens. What do you want? Yeah,
Browns are big deal. The Browns are. Oh, there we go. Big deal. The Browns are staying on the West Coast instead of flying back twice in 1 week.
Yeah, it's not the end of the world. So hopefully this team can get healthy and go put a good performance together next week. Fingers crossed. In the meantime, we'll have plenty of coverage for you all week long over on Browns Digest. Hope you'll join us along the way, brownsdigest.com and right here on this channel. For Anthony Moeglin, I'm Brendan Gulick. Cleveland loses today for the second time in their last 7 games. Final score, Denver 29, Cleveland 12.